Why have you made that decision to define the purpose of your life is to make money?
Why have I made that?
Yeah, what's the evidence the purpose of a life like yours is to make money?
Society has dictated that you can make money and get a good job.
Okay, good. Why have you trusted society to tell you the purpose of your life is to make money? Because what?
Because I'm a conformist.
Okay, why have you made the decision to conform to a particular society that says the purpose of your existence is to make money? Do you have faith?
In faith in what? In society?
Your society.
Yes, society, because it's worked well.
Good.
And my dad did that, so I'll do what my dad did.
Good. The reason that I trust Jesus Christ is because he's more reliable than our society.
Okay. Whatever helps you sleep at night.
No. It's a question of what's true.
But you also have
I think
to
the
interact
evidence
with
is
society.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, Jesus tells us how to react to society. But Jesus points out that he is more reliable than a society comprised of very finite, very fickle human beings. That's why putting my faith in God is a wiser decision, I feel, than putting my faith ultimately in people, ultimately in myself.
So how much do you think that Jesus overlaps with society? Does it completely polar ends of the spectrum?
No, I think you've done a very good job. The contrast here is now, am I going to live for Christ or am I going to live for money? You have decided to live for money. I have decided to live for Christ. Now, the question is, does the evidence support your faith as being wise, or does the evidence support my faith as being wise? In other words, compare the two objects of our faith. Your faith is in money, making money. My faith is in Jesus Christ. Does the evidence point to money being a more reliable object of your faith, or does the evidence point to Jesus Christ being a more reliable object of your faith?
Okay. Money could go either way. It could be wiser to do that, and it could but you have no proof. You only have faith in that it's good to believe in Jesus Christ. You don't have faith in that it's
exactly
bad.
I cannot prove to you that Christ is the truth. You cannot prove to me that living for money is the truth. We both have faith.
I'm respecting you, but...
And I'm respecting your faith, which is faith in money. My question to you is, what is the evidence that has convinced you that living for money is the good purpose for your life?
Because it worked before I was born, and it kept working, and so now I feel like it should work. Like, people have made or lived happy lives like that before, so why can't I do that now?
You can. But what's the evidence that making money is really the path to real life, to real happiness, to real joy? You really believe that?
What's the evidence for yours?
Well, the evidence for me is Jesus Christ lived an amazing life. The type of life that in my best moments...
So you want to live the life that Jesus Christ lived. Is that what you're saying?
I respect his life very, very much. I've tried to live that type of life and I have failed. I've blown it. But the way he lived, gosh, in my best moments, I wish I could live that type of life. Secondly, I read his ethical teachings, the Sermon on the Mount, and lo and behold, I begin to realize that he's right. People are more important than money. And he says that in the Sermon on the Mount. Not only are people more important than money, knowing God is more important than money. That makes a lot of sense if I think about it.
Can I say something?
Sure.
If you needed a guy that lived however many years, thousands of years ago, to tell you that you need to be nice to people, that people are more important than money, then you're crazy.
Well, then why did you tell me right now that the purpose of your life is to live for money?
I can live for money, but I also don't need a book to tell me to be nice to people.
You dug your own hole there, sir. Holy smokes.
I can live for money. I can also be nice to people. Like, I can also value people. I don't need somebody to tell me that, and I don't need all of Christianity to tell me that I need to be nice to people.
Yeah, I know you don't need that. But you see, you've made a decision to say that the purpose of my life is to live for money. Now, Christ contradicts you.
Obviously, I'm not a charity worker, so I'm not going to be helping people.
Christ says the purpose of life is not to live for money. The purpose of life is to love God and to love people. Now, it's tempting to live for money. But if you think about it more deeply, you're going to begin to realize, real joy, real fulfillment in life does not come from piling up the stock portfolio. It comes from relationships with people. So there must be more to life than simply making money. Making money is an important thing, but there's got to be more than that. Something deeper than that.
You're assuming that everybody that makes money is evil.
No, I'm not.
You just said that. You're saying...
No, I did not.
Well, okay, well, you said
I'm
that...
saying it's
since I want to make
emptiness
money, I won't
ultimately.
love people. That's what you just said.
No, I did not. I said to love people according to Christ is more important than loving money. That's all we're saying.
And then you just said, you love money. To me.
No, I said you told me the purpose of my life is to make money.
How do we come to knowledge of God?
A lot of different ways. Experience, reason, God's Spirit drawing us to Him.
How do we talk about God? Do we use words like I've heard you use, such as omnipresent, omniscient, things like this?
We can if we choose to.
Would it be an appropriate thing to do? Terms that are human characteristics, thus augmented. Because my question for everybody is an ancient question, which is if goats had hands and could draw as we have hands and can draw, would they not draw goat gods? Do we make our gods men? Do we make our gods women? Or more specifically men, in that we're constantly using he to describe our God. A male God and a male Christ.
Jesus Christ did not assert male superiority. The Bible does not.
I'm not taking that.
Sir, can I answer you or not? You're gonna.
You may.
know,
You may.
You talk, and then when you're finished, I'll answer you. Okay?
Okay. Well, my last question in that series, because I'd like to give you a lot to meditate on rather than just give you a single line. Why should I choose Christ as opposed to other very delightful ironists, literary ironists such as Socrates? Can I not yell out, "Ho Socrates Theos"? Because I do read the Bible and I look at the Greek, so I know what the source material is.
Good.
Go ahead. Tell me your thoughts.
On Socrates versus Jesus?
No, well, there was a line of questions that you can approach.
Yeah, you asked a lot of questions, so I'll take the last one, all right?
All right.
The reason that I think it's very wise to trust Christ as opposed to Socrates is that although Socrates was a very wise man and had an incredible ability to think and have intelligent discourse, he died and he's dead and gone. But 3 days after Christ died, he rose from the dead. And over a period of 40 days, he appeared to over 500 people who saw him risen from the dead. And this Jesus said, "I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live, even though he dies." So therefore, because Christ rose from the dead, the evidence is he is reliable and trustworthy in a way that Socrates is not.
All right. Why should I choose either one? You spoke of human relationships. Hear me out. And that it is relationships that are so important. Why need God when I have all these beautiful people? Why need God when I have all these loving people? Why need God when I have all these kind people? Where is God located with his extra human characteristics among all these kind, loving, beautiful people?
Because when you enjoy kind, loving, beautiful people, it would behoove you to ask the question, where do these kind, wonderful, beautiful people come from? And I think the evidence is that life comes from life, not from non-life. Therefore, to thank the God who gave you your life, to thank the God who gave you wonderful people to relate to and to love, would be a very wise move. To thank God for all the gifts he's given you in the form of other people, in the form of your life. And then secondly, if you really do enjoy relationships, a relationship with God would be pretty exciting if it was possible.
If God is a conscious thing, we're talking about first causes now. You're saying life comes from life, but if we take a line, how do I know that God is a conscious being, that it's not a happening? We like to use the word creation because it presupposes there's a creator. The very word in its etymology has agency. But if we say a happening, that man is a happening, or that life is a happening, how do we talk about a conscious being without making a logical fallacy?
In my observation of the earth that I live on, design demands a designer. Complex design demands an intelligent mind. Not a happening, but a mind. And therefore, I am convinced that there is an intelligent mind behind this universe because of the complex design that I see around me. That's how I get to believe that God exists.
And were I to use those words in my thoughts, I would definitely agree with you also. But the thing is, as I said, words like creation or design presuppose creators and designers. And and the thing about it, though, is that we can use other words to describe these things, such as happening, such as occurrences. And since you've already conceded through what you've said that knowledge of God comes after experience with the world, it comes a posteriori, then we are assessing things that are around us using earthly terms, using different kinds of reassessments, additions, stretchings, augmentations. I don't see how any knowledge of God is possible. It seems as though we know nothing and can know nothing, but can speculate based on our own desires.
No. And all the relationships that I have with people are because people have opened up and revealed to me their name, their character, their personality. And that's the way I've developed friendships. And I've opened up and I've revealed my name and my personality. And we've enjoyed getting to know each other.
Right.
Similarly, the only way I'm going to get to know God is if God opens up and reveals God's personality, God's name, God's likes and dislikes. That is exactly who Jesus is. Jesus claims to be God opening up and revealing his name, his personality, his likes, his dislikes. And that's the way that I begin to get to know God, in the same way that I get to know people. It involves revelation. We all have to open up and reveal who we are. If we lie to each other, we'll never have a significant relationship. We have to open up, speak the truth to each other about who we are, and then we can begin to enjoy each other and build relationships of integrity, of honesty, of sincerity. The same thing is true with God.
I'm glad you
If God has opened up and revealed himself in a way that I, with my finite mind, can understand, then it's possible for me to know God. And that's exactly what Jesus claimed.
I'm glad you phrased it that way, but then I must posit the question, what is God then but a list of attributes derived from other men, derived from other women?
I did not make up Jesus. I did not make up God. Jesus was a real person who lived long before I was ever born and before I ever began to suck wind. And Jesus wasn't made up by some fancy writers or somebody's creative imagination. Jesus really lived, really taught, really died, really rose from the dead. So I got to deal with this Jesus.